Hi, my name's Ashley. I'm going to be informing you all on Kantian ethics, more specifically Kant's theory of morality. I have learned this theory in my philosophy class a few semesters ago, and I did a small essay on him, and I believe that this theory is very interesting because it makes you think about how your actions have consequences, even if you believe it is done out of the greater good. Kant's moral theory makes you think about what you put out into the world by how we rationalize, determine what is morally acceptable, and what we morally allow ourselves to do. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher who developed a deontological theory of morality, according to which the rightness or wrongness of actions does not depend on their consequences, but on whether or not they fulfill their duties. Deontology is the study of nature of duty and obligation. Kant believes that morality is a standard of rationality and that certain actions, such as murder, theft, and lying, are prohibited even if the action results in a happier outcome. You may ask how any of these actions are justifiable. Well, you may have lied for someone's own good. Someone may have committed murder out of self-defense, and someone may have even committed theft because they are homeless and desperate for the items stolen, such as some clean water. There are two questions we must ask ourselves before acting. Can you rationally will that everyone act as you commit the act? And do your actions respect human beings rather than committing only for your own personal use? If you answer no to both of these questions, you may want to reconsider your plan of action. According to Kant, one should ask, can I rationally will that everyone act as I propose to act? If the answer is no to the question, one must not perform the act. From this question, we put ourselves into perspective. I do not rationalize that someone should murder me, should steal from me, or should lie to me. Therefore, I should not murder, lie, or steal from anyone else. Kant claims that if you cannot rationalize the act to be performed on yourself, it is not morally acceptable for you to perform the act. Kant's claim is that people should not use others as ways for us to achieve our ends. Instead, we should deal with others as being ends in themselves. View murder, theft, and lying as actions you complete by using others to achieve your ends. Hence, these actions are using others to achieve our ends, not dealing with them as ends in themselves. Kant would call these actions immorals for those reasons. How we rationalize comes from an internal moral schema. Moral identity consists of two dimensions, internalization and symbolization. Internal rationalization comes from the aspects of yourself that relates to traits of your core self. They are the traits that lie at the core of one's self-concept of who they truly are. Symbolic rationalization is where the traits reflect in on one's actions they display. One person might say they fall one way in their beliefs, but their actions show otherwise. How we determine what is morally acceptable depends a lot on where we live, for example, in the world. Premarital affairs in America is seen as a little more morally acceptable, unlike countries like Indonesia, where in a 2013 study it was polled that 97% of the country claimed premarital affairs was immoral. This has a lot to do with religious beliefs, laws, and other factors that play into what societies around the world believe is morally acceptable. During this time of philosophical studies, Kant developed his supreme principle of morality he calls the categorical imperative. The categorical imperative is set to determine what our moral duties are and what we must act upon. With that, Kant determines that morality consists of obeying what our moral duties are. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy states that categorical imperative follows this statement from Kant. Act only on that maxim through which you can, at the same time, will that it should become universal law. This statement means that you are not morally allowed to do anything that you would not allow yourself to be done by anyone else. Professor Hassan Ajami states in an example, if I want to lie to get something I want, I should be willing to make it the case that everyone lies to get what one wants. In this case, no one would ever believe anyone is telling the truth. Therefore, the lie would not work, and one may not get what they want. In conclusion, lying is immoral because the only way to lie is to make an exception to yourself. And this does not follow Kant's rules of morality. You would have to answer no to his questions. If one would like to pursue Kantian ethics in Kant's morality theory, one must accept that the actions they commit should be expected to be acted on them in return. An action is not moral if one is not willing to allow the same action be committed on themselves. If I want to murder someone, I must be willing to be murdered to make it morally acceptable. And I, for one, am not willing to allow someone to murder me with no negative consequences following them. puts one's actions into perspective. Some actions we commit, we are not willing to allow others to do to ourselves. So why must we commit these actions? How do you display your core beliefs through your actions? We must reflect on our internal and symbolic rationalization to determine if we are following our own moral beliefs. Thank you.